of our March through the Agricola, Detroit Greek and Latin, brought to you, sponsored by Justin DeHonton. So without any ado, we're going to bring up the text and begin our, okay. Everybody see the text clear?
Yes.
Okay. So,
I got it.
Very good. So you remember last week, we left off at the end of the battle where Tacitus, our narrator, had told us that if it weren't for the fact that they were able to, that the enemy, the Scots, were able to escape into the swamps and woods, they would have been completely wiped out. So that's the thought on which, the optimistic thought via the Romans, upon which the narrative picks up here. So it resumes. Quius, so that's referring back to that whole last sentence about how the terrain and the possibility of escaping saved the Scottish army. Okay. Quius conscientia et fama. Okay, so they were aware of it, and it had been passed around. On account of that knowledge and the report of how the battle had gone, ferox exercitus, and that ferox exercitus is the Roman army. And you'll see, even though it's exercitus, it's treated as a, what's that called? Singular is actually a plural. So fremebat, okay, a collective noun or whatever it is. Fremebat, they were roaring, or insisting vigorously that nihil invium, okay, so that there was nothing impossible or unattainable to their virtue, and they were fremebat et penetrandum Caledoniam inveniendum quaetandum Britanniae terminum, that Scotland ought to be penetrated, must be penetrated, and that finally terminum inveniendum, the end of Britain, i.e. topographically or geographically, should be reached, should be found or reached, continua pro eliorum cursum, by a continuous series of battles. Okay, so the army's all worked up because of this successful repulsion of the attack on the 9th Legion that we previously. So you see here, yes, Justin.
Does there need to be an implied sunt there, then like if ferox sunt only to show like they were wild?
See, the fremebat is actually a verb of speaking.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Which is not in the text.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It triggers the infinitive, which goes with these three constructions: nihil invenium, penetrandum, and inveniendum, which of course are our accusative gerunds of of necessity or what ought to be the case.
Right. So this would sort of be like conscious of this answer by the reputation. The army roared this statement, and would you say like the wild army did it, or the army was wild and they roared? Ferox is sort of working with this.
Yeah, the ferox is definitely modifying exercitus, and conscientia and fama, of course, are ablatives. So that's just setting almost. I've come to call it the ablative of circumstance. Not quite an ablative of ablative absolute, but he uses it so often, almost the equivalent, the circumstantial ablative of time when. So, with this, or I guess ablative of accompaniment or something, it's kind of loose the way he uses the ablative. But I'm starting, with this awareness and report in their ears, because the report spread beyond the people who were actually engaged in the counteraction.
And
Okay?
that's what That's what whips them up in, and then they want to do all these things that they're shouting at them.
Yeah, they just got all, they got amped up on account of this. In fact, I guess you could take the conscientiam fama as accusative of cause with a verb of emotion from Abot. There's a lot of different. I mean, the ablative is a very slippery beast, and there's a lot of different ways you can take it. But okay.
Cool.
So atquile modo cautiet sapientes prompti post eventum ac magniloqui erat. Okay, in nequissima haec bellorum condencio est, pros omne sibi vindicat adversa uni imputant. Okay, so what's going on here is, so atque, and so those persons who previously were cautious and prudent, he's using sapiens, I think, with a, sarcastically. Post eventum, after the good battle, they were promptly ready to go and full of big talk. Magniloqui. Okay? So, Eli, and remember, those people were telling him, no, we need to retreat, we need to go back. Okay? So that's what he's talking about. Those guys who were previously cautious and prudent were now all ready to go post eventum, after the. And so it says, in quissima haec bellorum condecio est. Okay? This is the worst thing about war. That omnes, everyone claims for himself the good result, but the bad is imputed or is blamed upon one person. Okay, so everyone wants to take credit for the victory, point fingers at the commander or whoever for adversa. So, okay.
I have a quick question, just for as far as phrasing goes. I'm wondering, what's that literary device where he has like an implied said in the last clause, but it, the.
I think they usually just call that anaphora, where you don't have a connective. Oh. No, anaphora, okay. Ascendatum.
Ah, okay.
Okay?
It was pretty clear. I was like, oh, what do you call that? Yeah.
Okay? And he of course loves that. He loves ascendatum, okay?
Yeah.
Okay? Especially for but. I mean, almost whenever Tacitus has ascendatum, you have to supply a but. Okay? Okay. Aprentani, meanwhile, the Britons themselves are actually the Scots. Okay? Now, I'm just trying to see, how I broke this up. So, Rati, thinking that they themselves had been defeated, non virtute, sed occasione et arte ducis. So the Britons, thinking, on the other hand, thinking Rati, that they had been defeated, se victos, not by, martial courage, but by the simple chance of the matter and the trickery even of the leader, or the art of Agricola, okay? And now we get in what can only be a historical infinitive, and remember, historical infinitives always take the nominative. Nihil ex adrogantia remittere. They did not step back. They did not relax at all their attitude of rebellion, adrogantia. But, okay, quo minus is a rather hard but, or but rather, okay? And now we get a bunch of subjunctives. But whether, and here again, though, it's the same problem we had before.
Right.
When quo minus can actually mean, well, I want, but quo minus, well, I'm not going to worry about it. But, they continue to arm their young men, and they to transfer their wives and children in loca tota, and they continue with coitibus and sacrifices, with meetings. That I think this is actually Hendiades. With meetings where they took oaths, they sanctified, or they swore to the conspiracy, to the agreement of the states that they would fight together. Okay. So in this section, he's shown on the one hand what was going on with the Roman army, on the other hand what was going on with the Scots, and then the whole thing. Ad quita in retatis utremque animis descessum. Okay, and so with both sides, utramque, on both sides of the armies, on both of the armies in retatis animis, worked up in their spirits, discussum. The two armies departed, or moved away from that particular field of battle. Okay? So, here we just had the, like I say, the historical infinitive, and then the subjunctive with the quo menos clause. And, they want to take it as said. A part of me thinks that it could be the more usual meaning of quin or quo menos when you're stopping something. When you have a negative, but, we get the idea. Okay? So, Paul, why don't you take it from the beginning for us?
Okay. Quis conscientia fama, ferox exercitus, nihil virtuti suae, invium, et penetrandum Caledoniam, invendiendum qua tandem Britanniae terminum, continuo proliorum cursu fremebant. Atque illi modo cauti ac sapientes prompti post eventum ac magniloqui erant. Iniquissima haec velorum condicio est, prospera omnes sibi vindicant, adversa uni imputantur. Ad Britanni non virtuta se victos, sed occasione et arta ducis rati, nihil ex arrogantia remittera, quo minus juventutem amarent, conjuges ac liberos in loca tuta transferent, coitibus et sacrifici conspirationem civitatem sancirent. Atque ite in ritatis utrinque animis discessum.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. So now we get this episode inside of the thing, which is the revolt of these German. So, and that's the little sub-story or side plot that divides what we've done previously to this run-up to the next battle and the main battle. So, eadem aestata cohors usiporum per Germanias conscripta et in Britanniam transmissa magnum ad memorabila facinus ausis est. So that's pretty straightforward. This cohort, they were conscripted from among the UCP in Germany and transferred into Britain. They dared or accomplished a great and memorable but not good deed. Okay? So now we start with an adlative absolute, of which this qui refers back to. Okay, so occiso centurione ac militibus, having killed a centurion, or a centurion soldiers, who atradendam disciplinam mixti manipulis exemplum et rectores habebantur. Okay, so having a centurion having been killed, who were serving as, I guess, exemplum et rectores means, has to be like training officers, exemplary training officers, for the purpose of bringing the troops in line, and who were immixti manipulis, mixed in with the forces. I'm not exactly sure what a manipuli says, but obviously it's some type of unit of the army. Okay, so these guys have been killed. Okay, Okiso. Askende. I wasn't sure whether I took this to have to be a perfect, actually. First I thought it was a historical imperative, but now I think it's a perfect because it has to refer back. It has to refer back to the use of P. Okay. And I kind of think you need a state of, well, I don't know if you need a state of nominative to be a historical imperative, but I think it's perfect. Okay. So they climbed aboard 3 Libernica, which are these big 2-tiered rowing vessels. Okay. Ad actis per vim gubernatoribus. Having, forced the captains of the ship under threat of violence. Okay. Now this re migante it's been amended more than any other word in the agreement, because somehow this next little bit, et uno remigante suspectis duobus eoque interfectis, okay, somehow that has to mean that there were 3 ships, there were 3 captains, one of them did something suspect, and the 2 other ones for that reason were killed. Suspectis duobus eoque, therefore, thus as well, having been killed. So somehow they're left with only 1 person to guide the ships, although it really is not clear what's going on here. And if you look at Richards, he supplies about 10 different ways. Richmond and Ogilvy, they supply about 10 different ways this has been amended. Okay? But it just describes how they took over the ships. Okay? And so having done all
mine
that,
actually, yeah.
Yes, Justin.
Well, the 2-turn version, yeah, it's got remigi, and then he supplies imper in front of ante, so it's 2 words, remigi imperante. So that one, but yeah, I think he knows that there's a lot of ways to do this one as well.
Oh yeah.
And when I read it, I was like, is there one guy rowing the boat then? That'd be a pretty big job. So.
Yeah, like I said, it's amended more than any other word in the A. Okay? Non demorata remora, because no one really knew yet. The rumor hadn't spread what had happened. Ut miracular pri way he banter. So they managed to get on their way along the coast, okay? And they're at the top. They started on the west coast of Scotland, and they're actually going to go all the way over the top. Richards has a map, which I didn't have time to copy, but you can imagine them going over the top of Scotland and then hitting Germany that way. So, mox ubi appelia raptum exicet. Okay, so thereafter, when they had boat, and then this is the raptum the accusative supine of purpose to the accusative supine of, once when they had gone out of the boat, i.e. landed, to grab walleyes, okay? Complerisque Britannorum sua defensorum, proelio congressi ac saepi victores aliquando profi, okay? Eo ad extremum inopia venere ut infirmissimo suorum mox sorte ductos vesterenter. So, I was honestly confused here what this comma was doing, whether it was the preposition or whether it was the conjunction, because So I'm just going to act like okay. So when with on many occasions, when against many of the Britons defending their own stuff. So remember, they're sailing around the top of Scotland, so they've got to stop quite a bit for water and pick up supplies. So when they came into battle, Congressi Proelio Perisque, so I guess now I'm taking it as a and often they were victoriously, they won their battles, but finally they were defeated. He's just imagining this series of battles that they have to fight as they land to try to take supplies. Eo ad extreme opii venera, okay, they came to such an extreme of needing supplies that the weakest ones among them, having drawn lots, they soon took to eating. It actually resulted, I shouldn't laugh, why am I laughing about? Cannibalism. They resorted to cannibalism because they were having such a hard time getting supplies on this long journey. Okay?
Yeah, I think that Cum is following on Congressi, having met in battle with a lot of the Brits defending their interests.
Yeah, see, I don't know if he would do redundant of the Cum, but let's not worry about it. Let's think about it and just keep moving because I want to cover a lot of ground today. But I was confused about what it was, so that could be it. I mean, people look at, and maybe if people have an opinion next week or write a comment on the YouTube thing for what they think it is, but that's a good question I'll look at. Okay, but, so, atque itas circum vecti Britanniam, amicis per inscitiam regendi navibus pro praedonis habiti, primum a suebis mox a frisiis intercepti sunt. So, having made their way around Britain, okay, but, I mean, amicis navibus per inscitiam regendi sounds like their boats. Boats maybe went aground or they ended up on land, okay? And pro praedonibus, because they were considered, pirates or people who just were out to raid the land, first by the Suebi and soon by the Frishii, they were, intercepti, which is just, they were intercepti. I mean, I was looking at in
Apprehended.
Yeah, apprehended. Okay, these people grab them because look what happens next. Fuera quos. Okay, now this is kind of cool. So ultimately, they end up, they get as far as Germany, but these tribes just grab them. Okay, per commendumatos. Okay, so there were certain ones, and there were a few who, having been sold as slaves, at adductos, and adductos in nostra mustra repam, I guess they made it all the way back to Italy, mutatione amentium, as they changed hands between one person who was buying slaves and another, okay? So there were these certain ones who had such a great adventure as they passed through this that indicium tanti casus in lustrave. Okay, now, indicator refers to given by an accomplice or someone who's actually involved. So here I put, there were those who first-person accounts made famous, who indicium tanti casus of so great an adventure may actually made famous. Okay, so these guys were on like Ellen and did all the talk show circuit because the adventure was so great. Okay? Fuera cross quos per commercium when. Okay? So, any questions on that? I want to try to move kind of quickly, but I think we're making good time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Paul, why don't you go back and read us this adventure of the German deserters?
Eadem aestata, cohors usiporum per Germanias conscripta, et in Britanniam transmissa, magnum ac facinus ausa est. Occiso centuriona ac militibus, qui ad tradendam disciplinam in mixti manipulis, exemplum et rex habebantur. Tres Liburnicas adactis per vim gubernator scendera, et uno remigante suspectis duobus eoque interfectis, non dum vulgato rumora ut miraculum, prae vehebantur. Mox ubi aquam existent, cum plerisque Britannorum sua defensantium proelio congressi ac saeper victores aliquando eo ad extremum in opiae venera, et ut infirmissimo suorum dos vescerentur. Atque ita circumvecti Britanniam, amissis per inscitiam regendi navibus, pro praedonibus habiti, primum a suevis mox a frisiis intercepti sunt. Ac fuera quos per commercia venundatus, et in nostram usque ripam, mutatione ementium adductos indicium casus illustravit.
Very good. Okay. So, this Agricola, okay, and Agricola domestico vonere ictus, ana nat filium amiset. Okay, so he lost his son, struck by a domestic wound. He lost his son who had been born the previous year. Okay. Okay, which horrible thing, quem causam, neque, okay, neque ut plerique fortium virorum ambitiosa, he didn't use it as a cause to solicit sympathy, okay, as many strong men would even do. Neque per lamenta russus ac maiorum muliebriter, nor did he, take it as a woman might. On the other hand, lamenting and in sadness. Okay, so he didn't neque. He didn't bear it that way. And this et almost has to be a sad. Et in luctu, and in his sadness. Okay, amid his sadness, bellum inter remedia era. So war was, amid his sadness, among the remedies he sought. Okay, so he didn't go into a funk. He just bounced right back and kept at the poor Scots. Okay, so igitur, classe. So he sends, having sent ahead the fleet. Okay, and here we have, and y modifies the classes, the fleet. Okay, which, and this, you see qui, the relative with the imperfect subjunctive, which had this purpose, okay, having raided various locations to inflict upon the enemy a great uncertain terror. Like they didn't know where they were going to be hit next. Okay?
Would that be subjunctive for, do you think you said relative purpose right there, or is that an indirect question, or how exactly with the qua there?
No, relative clauses in the subjunctive can take all of the, look at your grammar, all of the relative clauses in the subjunctive can do everything that an ut clause can do in the subjunctive.
Okay. Relative characteristic, right? The type which would do a thing like this.
Right. It can do characteristic, it can do purpose, and there's one more, I'm not sorry, but, so, he sent them ahead who were to do this, who were to make terror great and uncertain on the enemy. Okay, and here again, Tacitus uses these perfect participles, but not necessarily activity before that of the main verb. Mm-hmm. So this is literally almost by, raining predation at numerous locations. Okay. Mm-hmm. So expedito exercitu. Okay, expedito exercitu. It just means, he marched the army out, not with all their heavy gear. Okay. Expedito exercitu. Qui, and this qui refers to the army, the antecedent of the army to which adederat, and so you have to have Agricola here, to which he added ex Britannis fortissimos et longa paxe exploratos. So who, to which he added, the bravest and most tested through the long peace of the Britons. And when we get to the speech of the Scottish leader, you'll see that he makes reference to this fact that there are actually fellow British Isles residents actually now in the Roman army fighting, okay? So, ad montem grappium pervenit, quem iam hostis insederat. Okay, they arrived, his army, Agricola's army arrived at Mount Grappium, which the enemy, the Scots, had already occupied, let's just say. Okay? Okay? Nam Britanni nihil fracti pugnae prioris eventu, et ultionem aut servitium expectantes, tandemque docti commune periculum concordia pulsandum, legionibus et foederibus omnium civitatem vires excitavent. So, this is a little complex. We have, and they're modified here by fracti or nihil fracti, not at all broken by the outcome of the previous battle, and looking forward to either avenging being slaves, expecting that there would be no middle ground, okay, and finally having learned, and what did they learn? That commune periculum popusandum esse concordia, that peril had to be repulsed by, a concerted or coalition here, a concordia, okay? So, legationibus et foederibus omnium civitatem, by means of diplomatic meetings and treaties of all the different Scottish nations, peoples, they aroused their strength, their manpower. They worked, they exquieret vires, okay?
Mm-hmm. And one thing, is that the Concordia Posandum, or crap, is that like a paraphrastic, like it's a curriculum that should be repulsed, or ought to be?
No, I think that, yes, it's a gerundive. That
okay.
The danger ought to be repulsed with action, or by a coalition,
okay.
By working together. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when you finally get your copy of Gildersleeve, Justin, really take time to look at him on the gerund and the gerundive. He's really good on explaining it all.
That always gave me trouble in school. I know. Yeah.
Well, Willock just bears much more complex than that. In fact, it's the last chapter Willock does, and he doesn't really explain how it gets used with in its different cases. He does explain it, but the gerund and gerundive are the strangest thing Latin does, and and good explanation. So, so here we go. This is cool. Jam quest semper trigent aemilia abatur. So, I guess this passive has a sense of, so there were basically 30,000 were facing off against the Romans. So remember we had auspiciebat for the land facing when he was doing the geographical description. So I think that's exactly what's going on to him.
Is it like now to be seen or now to now we can see?
Well, this is an imperfect, so yeah, they were being seen. It's okay. So he's staying. Yes, I mean I didn't think about this a lot, but it seems like he's staying narratologically, seeing this talking about from the Roman point of view. That 30,000 troops were there being seen, these foreign troops, and Ogilvy makes the point that is a conservative. Usually the Roman historians go all out. Livy, it's like 300,000. Or Caesar, and he's saying so 30,000 is not really over the top like you would expect from a Roman historian. Okay. Now here it gets really good. Affluebat omnis juventis, and so to this battle, all of the young men, came out. Affluebat. I mean, you literally have them flowing out of their little towns and villages and farms to the battle to fight. And then I love this. Et quibus cruda et viridis senectus. Does everyone remember Virgil, Book 6, where he's describing Charon across the, going across the river or dikes or whatever it is to the underworld? That, old age, senectus deo to a god, is fresh and green. Cruda deo viridis senectus. Well, I guess Tacitus just lists that, okay, to whom their old age was still cruda et viridis. So that's a very nice little bow to Virgil on the part of Tacitus here. Claribello, yeah, I took that just to be an ablative of description, an amazing gathering for war, just like when he's describing the Roman Navy, okay, starting off with this ablative of description and then going into the more detailed description. Et sua quisque decora gestantes, okay, and then we have quisque, each person, but that's taken as a plural, waving in the air, gestantes, decora suaque, or sua decora, his own, weapons and such. Okay, so you imagine, we've all seen Braveheart, they were lifting their weapons and going all excited, okay? Okay, so they were doing that. Cum inter plures, I never liked this I. Inter plures duces, okay, among the many leaders, okay, Praestons, being in virtue in his genera, I guess, background or origin, okay, a guy named Calgacus, okay, Ferreter is said having spoke in Humodum, is said to have spoke in the following way, okay, apud contractam multitudinem prolium. So among the assembled multitude who were begging for a battle. Okay. So and Richards made the point that in modum, in hunc modum, locutus, Tacitus is not pretending like he's saying any exact words. He's just saying, oh, well, if he said something like this. Okay? Any questions, Justin? Okay.
No,
So,
I'm just pretty good. As I say, look at the name. Algacus could mean swordsman. It's always fun. But yeah, no, it's again like they're going into a speech that they're like, yeah, maybe he probably didn't say it, but here's what works for the narrative. What Calgacus is about to say.
you read Thucydides, what, book 1, chapter 25 or whatever, where he said, well, I'm going to say, well, at least what they should have said. No one agrees with what he said. I'm going to tell you what they should have said.
Yeah, no good journalism here, but yeah.
We don't have the exact words. So I'm going to tell you what he should have said. Good old Thucydides. So here, Paul, why don't you let it rip?
Initio aestatis, Agricola domestico vulnera ictus, anno antenatum filium amisit. Quem casum neque ut plerique fortium virorum ambitiose, mentor ursus ac mairorum muliebriter tullet, et in luctu bellum inter remedia erat. Igitur primissa classa, quae pluribus locis praedata, magnum et incertum terrorum faceret, expedito exercitu, qui ex Britannis fortissimos et longa pace exploratos adiderat, ad montem graupium, quem iam hostis insederat. Nam Britanni nihil fracti nae priorsi ventu, et ultionem aut servitium expectantes, tandemque docti, communa periculum concordia propulsam, legationibus et foederibus omnium civitatium vires exciverat. Iamque super trigentorum aspiciebantur, et adhuc affluebant omnis juventus, et quibus cruda ac viridis senectus, clari bello, et suaquisque decora gestantes, cum inter plures duces virtute et genera praestans nomina Galgacus, apud contractam multitudinem proidium poscentem, in hunc modum sfertur.
Okay. Now, here comes the speech, and I was surprised. I don't know if I'm just getting used to Tacitus or whether he's just the outlier, but I know, when you read Livy, man, you hit one of his speeches, and at least as I remember it, boy, comes to almost a complete halt. It's really, really much more difficult. But this was actually pretty straightforward, I thought, okay? So here it goes. Quotiens causas belli et necessitatem nostram intueor, magnus mihi animum est, enum diem, consensumque vestrum, initium libertatis toti Britanniae for. Okay, now, for, of course, is our abbreviation for the future infinitive, futurum esse. So, often as I think about or look upon the causes of war and our, the fact that our backs are to the wall, necessitatem nostrum, okay, magnus mihi animus est. I take heart, pretty much, that's it. I take courage. That, what do you take courage? That, hodiernem diem, so this is a more emphatic, that this day right now, and consensum vestrumque, and the fact that we finally all come together, is going to be initium libertatis toti Britanniae. Okay, the beginning of the liberation of Britain. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Okay. Nam et universi coisti. So now there's some different readings of this, of what's going on with coistis here, but I'm just going to go with what Ogilvy and Richards have. For we've all come together, and expertes, and this means having no experience, not knowing servitude. You know, we don't have any habits of servitude. To our freedom, and we're going to fight for it. Et nullae ultra terrae sunt. There are no, he doesn't give you the sunt, of course, and there are lands anymore behind our backs, okay? We're the last ones. Acne mare quidem securum, imminente nobis classa romana. And not even the sea is, you know, a refuge or a secure place for us. And then you get this, call it ablative absolute, call it ablative chance. The Roman fleet, with the Roman fleet breathing down our necks. Imminent nobis, okay? Let's bring this back. So ita prolium atque arma, quae fortibus honesta eadem etiam ignavis tutissima sunt. Okay, and so war and arms, okay, which I mean, honesta, I always do something with this because it's such a heavy moral category, which are, you know, the honorable thing to brave men, the to cowards are safest. Okay, so you know, a brave man, you're going to resort to arms because if you're a brave man, it's because you're going to do the morally right thing. But even a coward, it's better to fight. The safest thing is to fight. So ita prolium atque arma quae fortibus honesta eadem, the same also to cowards, the bravest. Okay? Okay, now here it gets kind of interesting. Because with this priores pugnae, Richard says that this is a bold personification. This is a bold personification. The battle is put for the combatants. So, the priores pugnae, okay, during which certaatem et adversus Romanos varia fortuna. During which battles, it was, you know, we fought, it was, I mean, this is impersonal, you know, there was battling against the Romans with varied outcomes. They won some, they lost more, okay? But nevertheless, those early battles, and then I wasn't really, okay, spem ac subsidium in nostris manibus habeba. So if this is a bold personification, and it has to be the losers of those early battles, they have now, or were having in our hands, hope and help. I mean, I couldn't really get what habebat in nostris manibus, a weak verb. Here, and no one was really giving any help. I wasn't really sure what was going to be what was going on here. I mean, if
is he saying the fact that there are mixed results left hope for them, or?
Well, maybe that is it, Justin. Contain see, but I would have loved it when we were just like postulant, okay, have placed in our hands hope and help. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't like how they got.
But because was it manneres to remain, like hope has remained with the varying fortune. Like we've won some, we've lost some, but that, you know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, we can think about it, but yeah. I just didn't really get what habebat in nostris manibus spem ac subsidium was really saying. vis-a-vis this previous battles. Okay.
Yeah, and the notes in here have trouble with it too. So.
Oh, do they? Okay. Well, that makes me feel better because I just couldn't.
Yeah, they're like.
You know, I like to
like this is a weird way.
read what your guy says, since I don't have that double green, Justin.
Yeah. So, yeah, it says this seems to be a very unusual way of saying former fight or maybe like an and then let's see, and then it's an imperfect tense, so it doesn't imply that situation no longer obtains. So like it's still going on, but yeah, they note that maybe it's like an older use of habeo, but they're like, yeah, this is an unusual. They say it as they say.
Yeah, well, good, because I always like to be honest with myself when I don't understand something, and this just didn't make sense to me. Either of the commentaries I was using really acted as if it was problematic at all, so I'm glad at least the double green faced up to the fact that this is just a little weird. Okay? But now it gets a little straightforward here. Quia nobilissimi totius Britanniae, eoque in ipsis penetralibus siti, ulla servientium litora aspicientes, oculos quoque a condenationibus in violatus habemus. So, because we, the most noble of all of Britain, okay, situated here, city, in these deep recesses of the islands, in the deep recesses themselves, and nor aspiciente ulla litora servientium, no shores of enslaved peoples, okay? We have habemus oculos quoque inviolatos. We have as well our inviolate from contact with those enslaved people, dominationis, the Roman domination. Okay, so I mean, if he's explaining this earlier statement, golly gee, who knows what's going on, But this makes perfect sense. We haven't even looked upon. It's an old cliche. We people that come, we've never even looked upon slavery. Okay, so it's pretty much a topos of these types of speeches. Nos. So we. Hold on, where is it? No. Okay, so nos here is accusative. Okay, because the main verb is defended. Okay, so recessus. Okay, nos terrarum vertatis extremos. Recessus ipse axinus famae in hunc diem defendit. So we, I guess, asked. Wait. And now I'm suddenly confused by the extremos. We. Recessus ipse axinus famae is just this strange expression for like our isolation and deep privacy. Okay, have defended to this day us, the last ones, both regarding land and liberty, something like that. Nos terrarum ac libertates extremos, recessus ipse axinus fama in hunc diem defendit. I mean, it makes perfect sense when you read it in Latin. It's just hellacious to try to translate into English. Okay?
Are they almost like dative, like they've defended for us, or they've, like, it's been our benefit, the recessus ipse and the sinus famae?
Well, no, it's these things are very removed, have defended us in hunc diem, was a way of saying up to now.
Okay, so the recessus and the sinus are the subjects, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure.
Recessus ipse axinus are definitely the subjects of defended. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that was the tricky part. Okay, and then that this nos is accusative. But I've gotten so used to the fact that Latin really likes to lead the accusative subject that I'm starting to really get used to it. Okay, but nunc terminus Britanniae patet. Okay, so this has to be, now the end of Britain lies open for the Romans. Omne ignotum pro magnifico est. And every unknown is taken to be something magnificent. So, said nulla jam, but there's no nation beyond us, nothing, okay, except nisi fluctus et saxa, except waves and rocks, et infestiores Romani. And infestiores, an interesting use of the comparative, and the Romans who are even more bothersome than the rocks. Okay, quorum, and of course quorum is the Romans, quorum superbiam per obsequium et modestiam effugias. Okay, whose arrogance you could but won't flee. Okay, in vain you would flee it by just trying to lay down and be nice. Obsequium et modestiam. Okay, so raptores urbis postibus de fore terrae mares brutantur. Okay, so let's just say rapers of the world. Okay, after earth, and terrae is the subject, nominative plural. After dry land, de fuera has run out, to them having laid everything. After that, brutantur mare, they go looking for. Now, I didn't look up. I just took for granted that Gutor was the opponent. Well, I just want to satisfy myself, unless someone knows.
Yeah, it's deponent.
Okay, good. So they go looking for land. So after they devastated the earth, they go looking for land. Thanks, Paul. Okay, and if the enemy is local place, if he's rich, okay, the Romans are greedy, and if he's poor, they're simply ambitiosi, looking for someone to bow and scrape in front of them. Okay? Quos non oriens, non occidens sati averret, whom neither the rising the rising sun nor the setting sun have satisfied. Okay? They alone, concupiscum, they alone, omnium opes atque opium, pari adfectu concupiscent. They alone lust with equal emotion, okay, both the wealth and the poverty of everyone. Okay? So it doesn't make any difference whether you're rich or poor, they're going to come get you. Okay? Okay? And of course, we're approaching one of Tacitus' most famous lines. Alfere, trucidare, rapere, three accusatives, infinitives serving as accusatives. Okay? To carry off, to murder, let's just, to rapere. Okay? Falsis nomibus imperium, and so there is no Wolcott here, but they call by the false names empire, or their atque ubi solitudinem faciunt pacem appellant, and where they make there they call it peace. Okay? So, okay. Now, we'll continue, Paul, so you can read the whole speech continuously, okay?
Okay.
Okay? Liberos quique ac propinquo suos, not esse voluit. So nature wishes for each person that his children and relations should be the thing that is most dear. Liberos quique ac propinquo suos, natura carissima. Okay? But he, I guess this is their sons, I guess, per dilectus, through their, recruiting of auxiliary troops and workers, though the one, or the former, are carried away in order to be slaves, alibi, elsewhere. And so you note the future participle here of purpose. So they're carried away in order to be service slaves through, you can't call it the recruitment officer, okay? And coniuge soresque, our wives and daughters, etiam si libidinem e fugerunt, even if they've escaped, the straightforward lust of the enemy, hostilem libidinem, nomine amicorum atque hospitium polluuntur. They are polluted under the name of friendship and, hospitium. Okay. Bona fortunaque in tributum, ager atque annus in frumentum, corpora ipsa at manus, vis ac ludibus emuniendis, interverbera et contumelias conteruntur. So all these things, subjects above, conteruntur, are worn away amid beatings and insults, our property and fortunes in the process of paying tribute, in tributum. And ager atque annus means the yearly yield from our fields, in grain tax, in frumentum, and our very bodies and strength, okay, are worn away by means of ammonium, turning woods and swamps into things that the Romans can use. Running roads. This, I think, can be as specific as running roads, but it probably amounts to more than that. And then again, this is gerundive, through woods and swamps being emuniendis, worked over. Okay? Okay. So I'm going to back up and just read that again because it's a little, okay? So liberos quique et propinquo suos natura carissimos esse voluit, he per dilectus alibi servituri alferuntur, coniuge soresque etiam si hostilem libidinem e fugerunt, nomitiam polluuntur, bona fortunaeque in tributum, ager ad quanum in frumentum, corpora ipsa ac manus, silvis ac paludis emuniendis interverbera et contumelias conterunt. Okay. So now when that is the passive of serve, okay? So manipkupia is, our slaves, okay? But servituti. Slaves who are born for servitude are sold once. Okay? So if I'm born to a slave, my master will sell me once. Okay? Nata servituti manicipia, stemo, once. Atque ad dominis aluntur. And besides that, on top of that, they are nourished, they are fed by their masters. Okay? Now he's setting that up as a contrast, as a foil of contrast. Britannia, on the other hand, okay, servitutem suam quotidie emet quotidie. Every day pays for its servitude and even feeds its servitude. He's referring to these taxes and stuff. Okay? Sicut in familia recentissimus quisque servorum etiam conservis ludubrio est. And just as in a slave group, in a group of slaves, recentissimus quisque, and justque with the superlative. But the last newcomer among the slaves, okay, for his fellow slaves, an object of, making fun of. Okay? So too, just as that's the case in a family, in a group of household slaves, so too, terrarum vetera famulatu. In this age-old family group of slaves, of the whole world, i.e. the Romans, okay, we as the latest and cheapest ones are being sought for mere extinction. Okay? Okay. So he's going to neque enim arva nobis aut metalla aut porta sunt. For look, we don't have any nice fields, any mineral deposits, we don't even have any good ports. Okay? And then here we go again, that subjunctive, for which things we could be put aside or reserved for working. Okay? For the purpose of working. So it's kind of like a double purpose. You have to be reserved, like, this table is reserved for X. So we don't have these things on account of which, well, I guess this can be almost a gerundive, with quibus being the substantive, for the working of which we might be, put aside as slaves. Okay. Virtus porro ac ferocia objectorum ingrata sunt ingrata imperantibus. And moreover, porro, bravery and spirit, okay, of subject peoples are thankless objects for their, the people who are commanding them. Okay? And then Latin grammar explains how if you have feminine and a feminine, which are things, you can have the predicate be a neuter plural. That's where this ingrata is coming as the predicate of virtus ac ferocia together. Okay, so that's Lane's Latin grammar, 1089. He's good on those types of details about number and person. Okay, agreement and stuff. Okay, so porro ac ferocia subject ingrata imperantibus et longinquitas et secretum ipsum quo tutius et suspectius. So, and the fact that we're far away and our very sadness itself, all the more quo tutius, insofar as it makes us more safe, for that very reason, it makes us more suspect. Although I don't think the tutius suspectius, it's not talking about the Britons, it's saying in itself, our distance and our remove itself is, to the extent that it's safe, okay? So, ita sublata spe venia tandem. So finally, letting away all hope of kindness, forgiveness, leniency on the part of the Romans. Sumite animum, imperative. Man up, grab your courage. Okay? Tam quibus salus quam quibus gloria carmissima est. Okay? So, for your courage will be as equally, I guess, a means of safety to those whom glory, okay, tam quibus salus quam quibus gloria carissimus est. So this tam quam is kind of pregnant. So to the degree that your glory is the most dear to certain persons, so too shall there be safety to those persons. Okay? Tam quibus salus quam quibus gloria carissima. Okay? And then he goes on to speak of those earlier guys, the Brigantes. The Brigantes, femina duce exuere coloniam. The Brigantes, under a female leader, exuere coloniam, they destroyed a colony. Okay? And you've got to go down to Potuera. And they were able, expugnare castra, exuere jugum. Okay? So they were able to defeat a Roman camp. I'm just going to say that because I'm getting a little tired. Ac nisi felicitas in sorcidam vertiset. Okay, and if they had not turned their good luck into immoral behavior, so cordium or laziness, I guess that is. If they had not turned, if they had capitalized on their initial battles and not resorted to laziness, they would have been able to throw off the yoke. Okay? So we, on the other hand, are whole and indomiti. We were integrity, and then here's another problem with the text, but we'll just take this to be a future participle, bellum in laturi, okay, to wage war. Okay, so we are about to wage war not to our dissatisfaction and regret, but rather for the purpose of our liberty. It's something like that. Nos integri et indomiti et in libertatem non in paenitentiam laturi. So I'm not sure if this et here is adverbio as well for the purpose of liberty, but unlike them, who were ultimately defeated and had to regret what they did, battle, quos sibi Caledonio virus supposuit. What men Scotland has kept in reserve for herself. Okay? This is really long, Paul, so let me back up and let you part of the speech because there's one little bit of it that I want to finish and then we'll be done. But let me just let you read and I can take a little break. God, this thing is really long. Okay, so here we go. You ready to go, Paul?
Yep. Quatiens casus belli et necessitatem nostrum intueor, magnus mihi animus est, hodiernum diem consensumque vestrum latis toti Britanniae fora. Nam et universi coistis, et servitutus expertes, et nullae ultra terra ac ne mara quidem securum, imminente nobis classa Romana. Ita proelium atque arma, quae fortibus honesta, eadam etiam ignavis tutissima sunt. Priores pugnae, quibus adversus Romanos varia fortuna certatum est, spem ac subsidium in nostris manibus habebant, nobilissimi totius Britanniae, eoque in ipsis penetralibus citi, nec ulla servientium litera aspicientes, oculos quoque ad contactu dominationis in violatus habebamus. Nos parum ac libertatis extremos, recessus ipsa ac sinus famae in hunc diem defendit. Nunc termini patet, atque omne ignotum pro magnifico est, sed nulla iam ultragens nihil nisi fluctus ac saxa, et infestioris Romani, quorum superbiam frustra per obsequium ac modestiam effugias. Raptores orbis postquam cuncta vestantibus defuere terra maris scrutantur. Si locuples hostis est, avari, si pauper ambitios, quos non oriens noc occidens satiaverit. Soli omnium apes atque inopiam pari adfectu concupiscant. Aufera, trucidara rapera, falsis nominibus imperium, atque ubi solitudinem facent, pacem appellant. Liberos quique ac propinquos suos natura carissimos esse voluit, per dilectus alibi servituri afferuntur, coniuges sororesque, etiam si hostilem effugerunt, nomina amicorum atque hospitum poduuntur. Bona fortunaeque introger atque annus instrumentum, corpora ipsa ac manus, suis ac paludibus immuniendis, et contumelias conteruntur. Nata servituta mancipia semel veneunt, atque ultra ad dominis aluntur, Britannia servitutem suam, quotidie emet, quotidie pascit. Ac sicut in familia recentissimus quisque servorum, etiam conservis lucidum. Sic in hoc orbis terrarum vetera famulatu, navi nos et viles et excidium petibur. Neque enim arva nobis aut metalla aut portus sunt, exercendis reservemur. Virtus poro ac ferocia subiectorum ingrata imperantibus, et longinquitas ac secretum ipsum, quo tutius eo suspectius. It sublatus spe veniae, tandem sumite animum, tam quibus salus, quam quibus gloria carissima est. Brigantes femina duca, exurere coloniam, expugnare castra, ac nisi felicitas in succordiam vertisset, exuere jugum potuere. Nos integri et indomiti, et in libertatem, non in paenitantiam laturi. Emos datum congressu ostendamus, quo sibi Caledonia viros se posueret.
Or so to finish the speech, okay? An eadem Romanis in bello virtutem quam in pace la adesse credites. So here's the question mark on, or do you believe that there is the same virtue in war to the Romans that there is to them in peace of, just greed and lust? Okay? Nostris illi descensione discordiis clari, vitia postium in gloriam exercitus sui vertunt. Now this is a little tricky. Only because, and I saw this in a speech of Cicero I was reading earlier this week as well, burying this nominative subject inside of the ablative absolute like this. I saw where Cicero had done it with ipsa. So this is an ablative absolute, or ablative circumstance. Amid our dissensions and discords, they, Flori, looking brilliant, turn the vices of the enemy into glory of their army. So they just gotten lucky. Okay, their army quem contractum exti versimus gentibus, which made up of the most diverse peoples. Okay, res tenet ita adversae dissolvent, which, because they're made up of diverse people, just as successful events, battles, hold them together, so too adverse battles will break them up. Now, you have to grab this putatis from the very bottom down here. So I just put it up here so it makes it clearer. Nisi, unless you think that the Gauls and the Germans, Gallos et Germanos et pudit dictu Britannorum plerosque, okay? Unless you think that the Gauls and the Germans, and shameful as it is to say, even a majority, okay, and Leakit is here just although they loan their blood to the foreign domination, nevertheless, for a longer while, having been enemies than slaves, okay, unless you think that even though they're loaning their own loan, despite the fact that for a longer while their enemies were slaves, do you really think that they are putatis, that they are going to be held by good faith and affectu, positive affection, faith and good feeling and loyalty? Okay, so here he can. Metis octera sunt infirma vincula caritatis, quae ubi removeris, qui temere desierent odisse incipient. So, fear and terror are very weak bonds of love. Which things, when you have removed them, the persons who shall cease to fear, will begin to hate. So this is a nice coordination of the future perfect here with the straightforward future. So because they will have ceased to fear before they begin to hate. So Latin reflects the order of the events. Okay, but anyways. So omnia victoria incitamenta pro nobis sunt. So all of the motivations of victory pro nobis sunt are in our favor. Okay? Nullae Romanos conjuges accendunt. The Romans, no wives are going to be stirring up the Romans. Nulli parentes fugem exprobaturi sunt. There are no parents, future participle and periphrastic, who are going to reproach them for running away from battle. Okay? Aut nulla plerisque patria aut alia est. And to most of them, they either have no home at all or it's somewhere else. Okay? Paucos numero trepidos ignorantia caelum ipsum ac mare et silvas ignota circumspectatis clausos quodam modo ac vinctos de nobis tradiderunt. Okay? So the gods have delivered them to us, few in number, scared on account of their ignorance. Okay? Caelum ipsum ac mare et silvas circumspectantis, ignota omnia. They look around at the sky itself, the sea, and the woods, and ignota omnia. Everything is strange to them. Everything is unknown. Okay? Clausos, quodamodo, trapped, so to speak, and bound, so to speak, the gods have handed them over to us. Okay? So, ne tereat vanus aspectus, hortatory subjunctive again. So don't appearance, the empty show of them, terrify us, okay, nor the shine of their gold or argenti et auri fugor atque argenti, neque teget neque vonera, which neither protects them nor can wound us. Okay? Sa hostium acie invenienus nostras manus. Okay, in the very formations, battle formations of the enemy, and here we get a bunch of futures. We will find nostras manus, and he means troops that come over to our side because because the Romans have enlisted the other Britons in their army, like I pointed out earlier. Okay, agnosken Britanni suam causa. The Britons shall recognize their own cause. Okay. Recordabuntur Galli priorum libertatem. The Gauls will recall their former liberty. Okay? Tam quam. Tam deserent ilos ceteri Germanes quam nuper upsisi reliquerat. Okay? The remaining of the Germans will desert them just as recently the Usipi reliquerunt left them. At quiquam ultra formidinus, nor is there anything beyond this army that we're facing now of fear. So there's no army beyond the one facing them. Nat quiquam ultra formididis, vacua castra sanum colonia. The fortifications are empty, and the colonia, the colonies are made. Okay. Inter male parentis et in juste imperantes, agra municipia et discordia. So there are unhealthy municipalities and discord between, and I guess this is still future, there will be between those who are poorly obeying and those who are unjust giving commands. Okay? Okay? Hic duc, hic executus, id metalla et ceterae servitium poinae, quas in aeternum perferre, aut statum ulcisci in hoc campo est. Okay? So, this is your leader, here is your leader, here is your army. Okay? Okay? Here they are in hoc campo est, okay, here they are in this, right on this battlefield, okay? Okay? Wait a minute. I'm a little confused here, guys. I'm sorry. Quas in itinerant periphery. Okay, yeah, okay. Here, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was saying Ibi and just thinking, okay, here is the tribute. Here is the, I guess, the salt mines. I'm not sure. Here are the other punishments of servitude, with, and there has to be an out here, either you're going to bear forever in aeternum, or avenge right now. Okay, in hoc campo est. So that's a little sloppy, but hic dux, hic exitus, ibi tributa et metalla et ceterae servitium poinae, quas in aeternum perferre aut statum ulcisci in hoc campo est. Proende et puri in acium et maiores vestros et posteros cognita. Okay, so in this fashion, you are going infinitive, future participle, you are going to go into the battle line, cogitate maiores vestros est posteros. Remember your ancestors and, the people who's going to come after you. Just have these two lines, or these right here, which describes the reaction to the speech. So let me read that, and then we're done. So, alacres. So, alacres doesn't it mean enthusiastically? I'm sorry, I didn't look that up. Yeah. Ex cape oratione. They received the speech. And ut barbaris mores, which stands for ut barbaris moses, as is the way with barbarians, okay? Fremitu cantuque et clamoribus dissonis, with uproar and song and, shouting all crazy things, okay? Jamque agmina et armorum fulgores, now with, the battle ranks and the flashings of their armor, each with a running forward of all of the boldest ones. Audistissimi quisque procursu. And like I said to you earlier, use of quisque with the superlatives, because he likes that, with a running forward of all the most enthusiastic. And then it breaks into Agricola speech, which we'll do next week, and then the battle itself. So let's just back up, Paul, and you reread this last little bit of the speech, and then we're out of here. Okay, here we go. On eadem.
On eandem Romanis in bello virtutem, quam in pacula scivium adessa creditus, nostris illi dissensionibus ac discordiis clari, vitia hostium in gloriam exercitus sui vertunt. Quem contractum ex diversissimis gentibus, ut secundae res tenent, ita adversae dissolvent. Nisi si Gallos et Germanos et pudet dictu licet dominationi alienae sanguinem commodent, diutius tamen hostis quam servos, fide et adfectu teneri putatis. Metus ac terror sunt calitatis, quae ubi removeris, qui temere desirent, de omnia victoria incitamenta pro nobis sunt, nullae Romanos conjuges accendunt, nulli parentes fugam exprobaturi sunt, aut nulla prerisque patria aut alia est. Numero trepidos ignorantia, caelum ipsum ac mare et silvas, ignota omnia circumspectis, clausos coda modo ac vinctos di nobis tradiderunt. Ne teriat vanus aspectus et auri fulgor atque argenti, quod neque teget nec vulnerat. In ipsa hostium aie inveniemus nostras manus, ad cognoscent Britanni suam causam, recordabuntur Galli priorum libertatem, tam deserent illos caeteri Germani quam nulli reliquerunt, nequicquam ultra formidinis, aqua castella senum coloniae, inter maleparent juste imperantis, aegra municipia et discordantia. Hic dux hic ex ibi tributa et metalla et caeterae servientium poenae, quas in aeternum perfera ausci, in hoc campo est. Proinde iturian aciem et maiores vestros et cogitate. Ex Excapere orationem alacres, ut barbaris more, fremitu cantuque et clamoribus dissonis. Iamque agmina et armorum fulgores, audentissimi quisque procursu.
Okay, guys, as Paul read, I realized what was going on above here. I mean, I just wasn't getting the contrast between the hic and the ib. On our side is our leader and our army, but over there, I guess, is the tribute and these other things of servitude. I'm not really sure. What do you think, Paul, with Ibi and the hic? What's going on?
On this side, we have our army and our leader. On that side, you have taxes, you have the mines, and the other pains of being slaves.
Okay, very good. So he's saying that these are their two alternatives. Here is our leader in our army that you're either going to stick with and fight to the death, or there you have the afflictions of servitude, which either you're going to bear forever or avenge right now, right here and now on this battlefield. Okay, very good. I was just a little bit confused. Okay, guys, I think we can finish this up in 2 more sessions. So see you next week. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Yeah, good job there, Walter.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, later.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Okay, so this is thank you, everyone who's followed us on the phone. We're coming to the end. So I thank you all and remind you that it's still time to join me out in Glacier National Park this summer and do the Greek course running from the middle of June until the middle of August. So you can contact me at my email, wroberts@DetroitGreekandLatin.com. That's wroberts, Roberts, at Detroit Greek and